Hi and welcome. So in this video I'm just going to go through some of the things that I had difficulty with programming the FMC for the tutorial flight for the 777 by PMDG Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're at gate 64 at Haneda International Airport, Japan, which it says to do in the tutorial, gate 64. We jump in the cockpit. I'm just going to go up to the top. You need to just turn on one of the external powers, so we get power. And then you need to go up here, the ADIRU, left click that, and that's all we need to do up there. Then we can go down to here and we can start working on the FMC. So we click on FMC, and this first page we don't need to do very much. I've got the latest Iraq nav data, 2406 at this time. So all I need to do is click on pods in it. Now it's got up here reference airport. So this is RJTT, and then click next to that, and then gate 64 like I said. So we click that, and then just see how it says set initial pause? That didn't come up immediately. And if you're wondering why that doesn't come up, if you have not clicked this ADIRU button, that will just never come up. So just make sure you click the ADIRU, then you can click last pause and then set inertial pause. It takes about 30 seconds, and then you can do that option. So click on route. Now we've got route request. Now what's interesting here is, say you clicked route request at the moment. Do you see how there's nothing mentioned about in SimBrief in there? Watch this. If we go all the way over to here and click on electronic flight bag and then request data from SimBrief, click that once. Now go over to here and click on route request. You see how you've got SimBrief option in there now? Now why this is important is because I was trying to work out why it didn't say set payload, set fuel option. If you don't go over here and click on request new data from SimBrief, that never comes up. So you won't get set fuel, set payload option. So I'll just go over to this one. I'll click on FS actions and fuel. We can see in the plane at the moment it's got 48,000 kilograms of fuel. What we'll do is we'll go into route request, click on the SimBrief option. So I'll click here. Do you see how it's got now set payload, set fuel? So I'll click on set payload and then I'll click on set fuel. Now I'll just watch it. You can see 48,508. Click set fuel and it's now jumped 65,310. And if we go over to our flight plan, you can see that the block fuel is about that. See, block fuel is just up here. The very top number, 65310, and so that's what it's entered, 65310. So that's the trick to getting that to be automatically entered. Just make sure you click this first when you're going through. Click request new data from SimBrief, then you've got that option. So that's the first thing that really got me stuck. Once we've done all that, we can click sec route. And now at this point, it can be not obvious what you need to be doing. You just see activate, but just wait. So route request sent. Still wait, don't click anything at this time. So you're still waiting, and it will come up with a load option over here. Do you see how it's now got the word load? So what we're going to do is we're going to click the word load, and then you're waiting again. So route 1 uplink loading, you're just waiting at this point. You could prepare to put in the runway information, but I'm just going to wait. So now, I'm unsure whether or not you can put in the runway or you have to wait, but it seems like it's fine to just click activate and then click execute and now put in your runway information. So go and put in 16R, which mentions in the tutorial. Click in here, runway 16R, and then click execute. And then this extra information down here we can just clear. So CLR, CLR, and CLR, it's just updating us so it's got all that in there. Then click perf init. And then in here, 0 fuel weight. Now, if you just left click once here, it'll enter the number for you, and then left click it again, and that's all entered. So now you're just clicking on accept, the little button next to here. Click on accept. That's all entered, and you can go into the thrust limits. Now, this is something you can get into with another topic, but as a gamer and someone who's not really trying to do it as per real life, I'm just doing 1 degree higher than what's mentioned. So I'm just putting in 30. And select, and that's all I'm doing. No D-rate or anything else. But if you want to, you can get into this and work out what your right select number is. Then I click on takeoff. I'm just putting my flaps to 5 always. And CG, just left click once, and then left click again, and then you've got your trim. Your trim is basically this, and you can move it with this lever here. So that's all you're doing there, and you can make it to whatever you want to do. These reference numbers, don't enter them at the moment because they're going to get reset. So I'm going to go into departure arrival, and now the tutorial flight mentions to select VAMOS free. So I'm just going next page until I get to the bottom. Then I'm left clicking here, VAMOS free. And then on the right, I'm clicking on 16R. So we click on 16R there, and then we click execute. That's good. So now to get back to arrival, what I'm doing at least is I'm clicking departure arrival again. Next to YSSY, it's got arrival. So I'm right clicking to the right of that. And then in here, it's only got BOREE P. If you look at the tutorial flight, it mentions 4P, not 3P. So there's no 4P option. If you go through this, there's only 3P. So that's fine. All we need to do is we click on BOREE P, and then make sure that you click ILS 16R up here. Don't click the 16R down the bottom. Click in ILS 16R at the top. So click that one. Once you've got that selected, click execute. So now we've got to sort out a plan a little bit because it doesn't load perfectly. So click on plan, and I'm just going to click on 40. Go back down to here. That's just changing the information up here so we've got it as a reference as to what's going on. So I'm going to go back to legs page. So I'm clicking on the word legs here. Now what you'll see is there's a discontinuity. OPAR doesn't go anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on step, step, and step, and then you've got OPAR, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get rid of OPAR and I'm going to get rid of these squares. So to do that, I'm going to go to the next page by either clicking step or clicking next page. So I'm clicking step. You can't see any of that at the moment, but you see UTBO. If we click this, it's then going to go back up and take out the previous page. So what I'll do is I'll click UTBO by left clicking here once, and then click on previous page. Then you see OPAR. I'm going to left click once on OPAR, then execute, so it's erased it. Then UTBO, I've got to left click it again to select it, and then I'm going to click on these little ones here. So I'm going to click over here for this one. It destroys that one, and then click execute. So now when I click my steps that we got here, I click on step, 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 step. It's all good. So we've got our top of cruise. We go all the way through, and there's a lot of waypoints. But you will find that if you program the FMC that way, you've now got a full flight all the way leading down towards the airport. So that's good. So that's all now entered. So you go back to initial reference page. Now you can go back to here and you can put in your takeoff ref. So click that, and then click that. So that's now all entered. That's good. The other things you can do is you can go into FMC.com. In here, it's got something uplink wind and uplink descent forecast. I'm still working the wind part out. I have put the file into the correct directory, but basically click that wind loader, data load, left click here, request, and that's entered, and then click execute. As I say, I'm still working this out, but then click FMC.com again. Do you see descent forecast? Left click that, and then click load. Now normally in real life, the real life pilots are not putting in the arrival straight away, but just me as a gamer, I'm wanting to understand, am I able to program an FMC at this point? And you can, basically. So you understand that the actual legs that you have are all working. But yeah, just be aware that they're not necessarily doing that in real life. Then you've got your program page, progress page, and you can just leave it on that. But basically, your FMC is now programmed. Just one other thing which is confusing. If you go into the nav rad page, you'll see park. Apparently that is normal for this plane. So there's a whole bunch of conditions which need to be met before it will show. But basically you have to be close to the runway and on arrival. It's not going to do it all the way back here at Haneda. So we need to be up in the air before it's going to show the real number. But that gets entered automatically. You do not need to go down here and click in like your ILS code like you would with a 737. This one gets done automatically based on what you selected with your departure and arrival here. So that's how that's working. So you can see we've got ILS 16. That's what's going to be used to do the ILS number. in this case. So just be aware of that too, because that can be quite confusing. Where do you enter it? And it's done automatically in this plane. And all you can do is just go into the NavRab page as you're coming towards the airport and just check that that number is correct. You'll know, of course, if you've got your approach button working, etc. But that's just something else to be aware of. And that's just mostly everything you need to do. I'll just go through what I have on there. But if you click on your ident page, pause in it, all that's entered. Route is in here. Click takeoff. This page you could improve if you wanted to, but I'm just doing it as a gamer, as I say, and this is fine for me. Click on takeoff. You've got flaps 5, you've got all this, you've got your information entered, thrust limits, and then if you go into your VNav page, you can watch what's going on, and you can go through the different phases. As you go into progress, and you're just looking at these two pages, the VNav and the progress page, as you're up in the sky, like most of the time. You might also keep an eye on the legs page. What could be useful is just put like legs page on here, and then like on this right one, put on your VNav information or your progress information. I'll click on menu, FMC, VNav, so you can just keep an eye on what's going on, your progress, etc., just on that right one. That could also be useful. But I think that's everything.